it was really the citizens that enabled Ukraine to hang on.
Я вічно скрив твоїх дверей. Знаю лише я одна, кожного своя ціна. Welcome to Ukraine.
And let's go beyond the front lines to Ukraine and Joseph Lindsley. Joe, hello to you. Hearing a lot about drone attacks. How is it where you are today?
Bob, good afternoon. I speak to you still from Kharkiv, 30 miles or so from the Russian border. And through the night, there were many alarms throughout the country. There were the Russians were using Iranian drones to attack, or they were trying to approach Kyiv and some other cities. But it seems that most of them, if not all of them, were shot down. Interesting that these are drones that are manufactured in Iran. And just over the weekend, the Saudi foreign minister came to show his support for Ukraine, humanitarian and economic support for Ukraine. So we do that. I think that's a huge sort of because there hasn't been that type of support from the Middle East until over the weekend, and so we do see some interesting maneuvering there. Here, everyone was expecting, and when I spoke to you on Friday, something huge to happen before February 24th. Still, there is still shelling and intense fighting, especially around Bakhmut, down in the city of Kherson. The Russians are shelling that repeatedly, but there has been nothing massive has changed, and there has been no nationwide attack on infrastructure like we tend to see once every 2 weeks or so. So it was a strange calm, in a sense, here in Kharkiv over the weekend. In fact, I went on Saturday to a hidden place during one of the air alarms, and there was a gathering of several hundred of Kharkiv's leading wartime volunteers. The people who they're delivering food to soldiers in Bakhmut. They're making sure that children who are orphaned are taken care of. Everything you can imagine, the whole society coming together. And what was really notable about it was that it was Ukrainian soldiers were giving medals to the civilians. And I think that really shows. And as I was reading a lot of the stories from the American and Western media about 1 year of war, I think one narrative that gets missed is just how bottom up Ukrainian society is. And so I think it's pretty widely acknowledged here that first week of the full scale invasion 1 year ago, it was really the citizens that enabled Ukraine to hang on. The government in many ways was scrambling to respond. And it was the people working together. And so that's really what I saw in that room. More than 300 people, probably at least 70 different organizations, some of them formal, some just informal groups of friends, each one with a name like you would hear at a pub quiz night or a softball league, sometimes with some humor in their names. And you really see the society coming together. There were 3 Americans in that room. And one of them, she's a Sikh American from California. She quit her corporate job and she came here to volunteer. And for a little bit, her 75-year-old mother joined her, was unafraid, and came here to Ukraine. And so this woman was telling me how she was engaged in humanitarian work, and her mother came along just to give people hugs. And she was the driver. And because in some of the hot spots, you need to drive fast. Her mother, she said, was driving 120 miles an hour in between some of their destinations. And so you see all different types and levels of bravery. After I was at that meeting, I went to meet with some soldier friends here in Kharkiv. They were on a break, and just had a little soup and some whiskey, and just talked about everything here. And everyone knows so many people who have died or who've been injured. And my friend, this soldier, Ukrainian soldier, said, "Our friends in the heavens are looking down, smiling upon us, and so we must also smile. We can't have a sad face in order to win." And this is sort of that's the mentality. The only way you can keep going is not to get mired in the sadness. Over the weekend, also there was a press conference with President Zelensky, and a Ukrainian reporter asked him, how has this affected his relationships with his family, and he almost completely broke down into tears, saying he hasn't seen his parents, he rarely sees his kids. But what inspires him most about his family is that his wife and his kids they choose to be in Ukraine. He says, he doesn't force them to be here. They choose to be here, and everyone here, they're standing together in solidarity.
So remarkable, all of those stories. Are people nervous there about the prospect of China supplying weapons to Russia?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a concern. I mean, there's a prospect of China supplying weapons, and then the ongoing prospect of, when will more and more lethal and longer range weapons arrive from the West? And, so Joe Biden was here last week, but there's still, and in fact, the Republican in Congress, Congressman McCall, was criticizing the White House, saying that the weapons are still coming to Ukraine too slowly. The White House National Security Advisor, says that probably there's no chance in the near future of fighter jets coming this way. Ukrainians say if there is, whenever Russia does have another massive missile strike, they really do need better air defense and fighter jets. So there's still behind the scenes, I think, it's a lot of debate on how quickly this aid will come for Ukraine from the West, and what's going, what kind. Meantime, is Russia able to resupply? Is China helping? That is a major concern. There was the governor of the Mykolaiv region, Vitaly Kim. He sent a telegram message about 30 minutes ago to his 70,000 followers on that application to communicate to people. And he said, do not ignore the air alarms today. He wrote this even as though there was no alarm. And so that is a bit concerning. And so, it's strange. After the 24th, everyone was expecting something horrible, and it's been calm. And it does give you a new level of courage and confidence. But there still is a heavy feeling that there will be something either today or in the coming days. And so meanwhile, that's why there is the push to get more support from the West, and not to, the big idea is not to give Russia more time to maneuver and to resupply, because that's probably what they're doing during these periods of relative calm.
Mm-hmm. And don't let your guard down, for sure. Let me share a couple of emails and texts with you, Joseph, from our listeners. Keep talking to Joseph daily. I treasure his daily talks. He is the only way to truly know the truth. And here's another one that I think you'll like hearing. This message is for Bob Sirott on WGN. We all can't thank you enough to stay every morning in touch with Joseph, the unbelievable, brave reporter from the Ukraine. You don't even realize how many followers he has. We pray every day for his safe return and the unimaginable brave Ukrainians. Best wishes from the bottom of my heart. That's from Elke. And one more here. Good morning, Bob. Joseph could be the 21st century Ernest Hemingway. Great reporting. Can't wait until he writes a book about his wartime experience. You are thinking about doing that, aren't you?
Yeah, I do. I try to write a little bit every day, and actually write around. Well, I can't. I was gonna say something that would give away my location in Kharkiv, but there's a Hemingway. I'll have to save that story for later. But
okay,
that's exactly why,
don't.
Bob. Why I do write down every day. I write because, and especially like in a place like Kharkiv, you meet so many interesting people, foreign fighters, on a break, Ukrainian soldiers, the amazing volunteers, and these kind of wild people that come right to the edge. And it is, a lot of those stories can't always be shared, maybe, until a little bit down the road. But yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate that encouragement from your listeners, and we keep going day by day here.
And as that one text mentioned, you do have a lot of followers. You can follow Joseph on UkrainianFreedomNews.com and also on our show page at WGNRadio.com. All right, keep that guard up, Joseph, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Indeed, Bob. Until tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important, that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?